You Okay, guys. Welcome to another session of our storyboarding course, session 2 of 5. Excuse a little delay there, and the issue that we had with the sound. I forgot to turn the sound on. Okay, just holding my camera. Everything's looking good. Great. Yeah. So today's session follows on from last session. Last session we done St. George's themed class, if you like, looking into the various elements that form a storyboard. Today we're going to expand on that, and we are going to go further into what kind of details we're looking at to create drama in our storyboards. Over the last 2 sessions, we've looked at a really useful tool called Storyboard That. We're just going to quickly look at that in the first half of the session and revisit some of the work that we did in that on Thursday last week. And then we're going to do some actual sketching this time. I'm going to do some actual sketching. I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's really useful for you guys out there to see that you don't need to be an artist. You don't need to be Picasso to assemble your storyboards. It just needs to be readable by you, basically, to get your thoughts out there. Okay, so we're going to do some sketching today. We're going to have an activity that we didn't manage to complete in the last session, and that activity follows on from the activity that we did last session. We had 2 activities last session, and that was the first one being a St. George's themed storyboard to communicate to people what St. George's Day is. Okay, and it was aimed at young children between the ages of 8 and 10. We're going to develop that a little bit further today, and we are going to look at creating a more of an entertaining storyboard that creates a little bit of drama to tell the story of St. George, in particular the story of George and the Dragon. Okay, so that's going to be our activity we're going to do in the second half of the show, and we're going to have a little break in the middle. We are going to have a little chat with one of our other tutors at Media Savvy, Haytham, and he's a film and media graduate, so we're going to have a look at the importance of having a storyboard alongside a shot list and what the relationship between the two are is. So what we need to make you guys aware of, if I can just quickly navigate my screen, I just want to make you aware of our enrollment forms. Remember from last session, guys, the enrollment forms are really important for us to put these courses on. These courses funded through the community fund at from the National Lottery, and in order for us to put these courses on, we need to just sign into this course. A few bit of basic details here: your name, your email address, and so on and so forth. What course you're on, and this really is a really good tool for us to communicate back to our funders how your knowledge has improved or been affected during the course of these sessions. Okay, so that's our enrollment form, and then we have a survey at the end, and it's just a very quick survey. It takes about between 20 and 30 seconds to complete, and it's very basic there, just to get an insight into the course itself, how it can be improved, if there's anything that you would like to recommend in our future courses. We do look at these guys, and it's really important for our deliveries to always develop and adapt our deliveries to make sure that everybody is catered for. Okay, so that's the 2 forms that we would like you to fill in at the end of the session or on your break. That's out of the way. So I just made a few notes from the last session, and I really like you to comment and get in touch to let us know if you did manage to have a look at the FutureLearn website. I've pointed you to that FutureLearn website at the end of last session. If you just quickly go back, see if I can find it. It was a really cool website where you could study online for free. So a bit like this, you don't need to pay anything for it. And this FutureLearn website was absolutely fantastic because it had a multitude of short courses on here that catered for everybody's interests. Okay, so all you need to do is search for your course or explore the courses that you're interested in, or the areas or subject matter that you're interested in, and you'll be able to find the course on there. So anyone that may have went onto that website over the last week, please get in touch. Let us know what you think about that. It'd be really good to get your feedback. And let me just scroll back. Now, also like you to send in your work as well, guys. I'm doing these activities just to demonstrate really the tools, techniques, and tips that we are pointing out in the course here. But it would be really beneficial if you guys do it as well, so you probably create a lot more of an interesting storyboard than what I can in 2 hours, especially when I'm talking and trying to steer you in the right direction. If you guys can sit down and look at this video retrospectively and come up with your own themes or your own storyboards, if you can send those into us, that would be great, and we'll show them. That'd be brilliant. And also during the course of this session, it'll be great for you just to have a little think about what are your favorite film shots and why, because as I mentioned in the last session, it's really useful for us as creative individuals. Doesn't matter what subject matter that is, whether it's film, whether it's graphic design, whether it's writing or furniture making, anything like that. It's really useful to look at what other people are doing and for us to critique those other artists, to see what we can take from that and what we can use in our own projects. So it'll be really interesting to get your thoughts and feedback on what your favorite shots are, what your favorite films are, and maybe explore why you think they are good shots. As you remember from the last couple of sessions, last week and the week before that, which was the taster session of this course, we looked at different ways to spice up your shots, if you like, different ways to capture a scene, and we looked at different shot types. So we looked at, if we just quickly go back a couple of slides, we looked at, oh, it's not on here, but we did look at close-up shots. We looked at extreme close-ups, establishing shots and things like that, different shot types. And if I can find that on here, shot types, just bear with me 1 minute. Just using the storyboard of that website, if I can, because this website really had some really useful explanations to what types of shots there are. Here we go. We have a close-up, we have medium shots, long shots, etc., etc. Okay, so it's really useful for you to have a look at films. For example, this week I watched a film. It was called The Sound of Metal, I believe. It was a really good story, but me and my partner had a really good discussion afterwards, because I didn't feel that there was a clear storyline. Well, there was one clear storyline, but it seemed a little bit fragmented, and I didn't understand the reason for that. But it did make me think, and we did have a discussion about that afterwards. I thought the story was good, but I couldn't understand how they jumped from different time, not great time periods, but jumped from key moments in time to another key moment in time. There didn't seem to be that link there. So that kind of made me think, like, how would I do that differently, for example. So like I said, it's very, very useful when you're watching films, watching animations or anything like that, reading a story, for example, just to bear that in mind. Okay, so let me just bring up our chat for a minute, make sure everyone's there. Hi Wib, how's it going? Who else we've got? Hi Lavender, nice to see you. Okay, that's brilliant. So yeah, please put your comments in there. It'd be great to see what you guys have got to steer the session as well. All right then. So one last thing I would like to point out, when I was doing a bit of research for today's session, actually it was me and Haytham were having a discussion about storyboards and about shot lists actually, and we came across a statement that described a storyboard as a slideshow of the whole project. Okay, it's a slideshow of the entire project, not just the film, but it's not used just for the filmmaking process, but it's used for the entire project. So you would use your storyboard to help you generate your shots, to think about what shots you would like to take, to set those shots up. But when the filmmaking is done, when all the images are captured, it can be then used to edit the film as well. So it's a really, really good backbone to any kind of project. And we're talking visual projects here. It doesn't need to be film, but it could, as we mentioned before, it could be for app development. It could even be a storyboard, a quick thumbnail storyboard of a PowerPoint presentation where you've got different bits of information that you want to convey. Okay, and that's all a storyboard is. It's a combination of images, photographs, information in little snapshots that communicate certain bits of information. Okay, so there we are there. So like I mentioned before, we're going to have two halves of the session. We're going to have our first half where we're going to recap from last week. I've got a little video to show you, and then we're going to have a chat with Haytham. That's the first half of the session there, and that's going to be looking at the importance of shot lists. That's today's kind of focus today: shot lists and storyboarding. Okay, so for those filmmakers out there, this is going to be really key for you guys. Okay, what is the relationship between the two? Now, I don't come from a filmmaking background, and that's why I'm getting Haytham in a few minutes time to have a bit of a chat about that. But when I was doing my research, I immediately come across a question: what is a shot list and why is that important? So that's what we're going to look at. Why is that important, and what comes first? Is it the storyboard? Does that come first, or is it the shot list, and what's the difference? So we're going to have a look at that. Okay, so quickly go back through my notes from the last session to make sure I've covered everything, just to remind you guys what we looked at. So we looked at the audience. That was a big theme from last session, and why are we watching? And remember when I was talking about me watching my film this week, I was the audience watching this film. I was the audience interacting with this film. So you need to be very mindful of that when it comes to doing your storyboards. Okay, what is it that you're trying to pass over to your audience? Okay, clarity is a key thing here. Making sure the information is clear. Okay, so that was our theme last week, and how we kept them engaged. And we looked at different camera shots, which I've just quickly covered there. Different techniques like that. Okay, then a quick one from last week, we looked at industry techniques and different types of storyboards. So the first type of storyboard was used to inform, and it was used to create a storyboard for an audience to tell them about who St. George is, and it was aimed at people between the ages of 8 and 10 years old. And we did a storyboard that looked a little bit like this. And when I say we, I did it. You guys will probably do a lot better, a better job of it than I did. But this is what I did on the fly, using this fantastic tool, Storyboard that. For those of you who are not aware of what this website is, it's a free online website. It does have a subscription as well to it, but there's a free section to it where you can create your own storyboards very, very quickly. There's a library of loads and loads of different elements from different types of people, from different eras in time, from different backgrounds and things like that. So you can really, really quickly build up your storyboards. And that's what I used to try and answer this little activity which I set for the session last week. Okay, so we created a storyboard to inform children who St. George was, and we established that he was believed to be from Eastern Turkey. He came under the name of George the Lionheart. He brought the St. George's flag across to England, and that's how it was adopted in this country, and that's how we have it today, and it forms an element to the UK flag that we have, the Great British flag that we have. So that was a very, very quick snapshot of this activity. We're going to move on to activity 2, which we didn't have time to do in the last session. And activity 2, if we quickly fast forward, is to create a storyboard to entertain an audience about the legend of St. George for children aged between 8 and 10. Okay, but what we first are going to do is we're going to get Haytham in. We're going to have a little chat, and I'm going to ask him a few questions about storyboarding and about Shotlist and how he has used them in the industry, but also what he was taught at university, and see if there's any differences there. So we're going to get Haytham in now, and we're going to have a quick chat. From our little conversation with Haytham, we're going to then have a look at answering this activity. Okay, so I'm going to have an attempt at doing this activity based on the information that I've gleaned from Haytham, and then we're going to have a little break, and we'll continue with that activity a little bit later. Okay, so here's Haytham.
I heard my name. I'll go with you a minute. Over there for us.
Thanks very much. Here he is, main man himself.
Good afternoon.
Right, mate, there you go, there's a session.
I'll sort it out, right? I'll just, so storyboarding, what you do is you draw a storyboard and then you're done. I'm going to grab my tape actually. So, okay, you had some questions for us?
Yes, so
Let me see. Let's have a look.
Can we see him?
That preview's not live really.
It's a little bit of a lag there.
Where's the old mouse? Okay, yes, you can see me, but not you.
There we go.
That's fine, you don't have to see us both.
There we go. Alright, so, yeah, basically, let's go back. So, we're looking at what is the difference between a storyboard and a shot list. That's the main thing I had an issue with earlier, and I didn't understand what the difference was. So I was wondering if you could just break down what a shot list is, okay, and how you've been taught it first of all.
Your shot list is like literally a list of shots. So you have, and I haven't got the image on screen, but I can probably find one actually. So if we just go to here, let me just type in. I'm just going to shift your notebook. So your shot list is essentially something that links to your script, and you can have references to it. So these are like horrible to look at, which is why a storyboard tends to be more visual representation of it. These are really useful if you're filming in a certain place on a certain day, having a shot list, you know exactly what you need to get, and who needs to be in that shot. So can you see here shot number? Yeah. This can link to in your script as well. Right. Location, you've got exterior. Yeah. It would be INT. It would be interior. Yeah. Some of this stuff, this is quite an advanced one, so it's got camera movement, and like your shot type. So you've got like your extreme close up, medium close up. Right. Yeah. As we're going, so extreme close up there, close up, medium close up. establishing mid-shot, I'm assuming that. So these are using quite like advanced sort of initials and stuff. It doesn't really have to be this complicated. Your location, again, you might have one place, you might be filming, say, outside in the park,
right,
for example.
Right.
So your location would be exterior, I don't know, Barnes Park.
Right.
And then you've got like your different shot types, but this helps you like itemize what you're going to shoot.
Right.
And you can pretty much, if you do it like this, do it in order as well. The order, obviously, so you see in your shot description, you get a bit more information than you possibly do on your storyboard.
Right.
Photo changing hands, dark to remove up and down. Lower body, dark replacing something in pocket. So you're given an example of what's going on in the shot, as well as they've got ignore the camera movement one. Don't worry yourself about that.
Yeah.
But you've got your camera angle as well.
Yeah.
So you've got like POV and things like that. And this can help you. This is a good way to like get you what you need to capture ticked off, basically, so that you don't miss anything. You don't miss any shots.
So what I couldn't figure out before was what was the relationship between the storyboard and which comes first?
Your shot list, your storyboard's like your overall like overview of the whole project, right?
Yeah.
So your storyboard you can still use when you're editing your video.
Yeah.
Because you're going to come back to, so you're mapping out, as like you said before, like a slideshow of how you want the overall story to be.
Yeah.
Your shot list is the technical side of, okay, I need to capture this shot. It's not really anything to do with like meaning. It's just, here's the shot, here's where it is, here's the angle, and here's like what's going on in it. So
am I right in thinking that each window on your storyboard is a shot list, or could you have more than one shot list or more than one shot from each window?
Your storyboard tends to be your overall like narrative, so your overall story.
Yeah.
Your shot list is like each nitty gritty bit of how you get that.
So you could have about 5 different shots from that one scene in your storyboard.
Yeah, definitely. You can storyboard each shot if you like, but if you're making something that's like 20 minutes long, you're going to have a nightmare trying to storyboard every single shot. So having a shot list for each sort of scene breaks it down individually, and having your storyboard of the overall story, but not with every single shot built into it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you think about when you watch like, I don't know, any film, like a horror film, for example, like even in one scene where like there's a chase scene, there's probably like 45 different angles and different POVs, and then there's a bit where it's like a really wide shot showing them chasing them across the horizon and stuff, and to do a storyboard for each individual one of them is going to be really tough.
Yeah.
So you'd have a shot list of what's included in that scene.
Got you, right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But your storyboard can be used pretty much throughout, so it can be used to help like your crew visualize it. So if you're not working by yourself, or even if you've got someone acting in it, or even if it's like a documentary, if you're interviewing someone that you can brief them on where they need to stand, where they need to be. Like I was saying before, you might get some like cutaway shots if you're interviewing someone whose job it is, I don't know, they're a fireman. So you might want to get some cutaway shots of them like packing their equipment, pulling it out of the locker, putting it into the truck, sliding down the pole. I don't know.
So it's just a list of shots. It doesn't need to be in any order. That list of shots.
Your shot list, people put it in order, but they link it to the script normally. So you know the one I showed you there. There's another one on this page. I'm gonna find it because I was looking at it before. So you've got a script reference there.
Yeah.
So somewhere within your script, you'll have marked a number, and that's what that shot corresponds to.
Got you. Right. So there's 6 there. That's they've obviously jumped forward, and then they've gone down to 2.
Yeah.
That's early on in the story.
Yeah. That's one thing that everyone tells you, like at uni when you do amateur filmmaking at any level, they'll tell you like you don't have to record it in chronological order. There's absolutely no need to. If you can't film the beginning on a certain day because you can't get access to the actor or like the location that you need to be in, but you can in 2 weeks' time, doesn't let it put you off from starting, and you could film the ending first if you liked. You've just got to, the only thing to bear in mind with that is you've got to keep things like consistent. So if it's taking place in say one day and you've got in your film, so the film only spans 24 hours. If your character has 3 different sets of clothes on throughout that, like it's not going to start to look stupid. Or if you filmed something and it was like really sunny, then all of a sudden it's pitch black and you haven't explained that it's like nighttime or whatever, then you're going to start getting the little issues.
Have you ever recorded something that's been over a course of that time, and then you've had to try and explain it?
Well, no, I had to reshoot a load of stuff.
Oh, you had to reshoot, right?
I recorded something outdoors, and it was all exterior shots to put like a little promo together for something. It was like a venue,
right.
And the light changed. So it went from being really sunny to being really overcast, because I left the camera rolling for a little while and moved it around and stuff. So half of the footage was really bright and sunny, and the other half was really overcast, and it just looked awful.
Right.
So I'd go back on a day and get specific shots while it was nice weather. So I'd be quite quick going around the place.
Right.
And referring back to, okay, I need a big wide shot of the whole place. Then actually I need a shot of us walking down the path, and then that I'm going to speed up and that sort of thing. So I refer to my shot list in that respect.
Was there any differences, finally, or two more things, any differences between what you were taught in the classroom when you studied to how you use these techniques like in the real world when you're doing film?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to plan, but it's also good sometimes to do, if you've already got all the stuff that you've got planned, or something goes wrong so you can't do what you plan to do, you can still shoot stuff on the fly.
Yeah.
The sort of last thing you want, the camera's lagging a little bit. Oh yeah, hang on. The mic's still working though. I'm just going to double check YouTube and make sure that stream health's alright. Yeah, it seems fine. The camera's lagging a little bit, I don't know why. It's like freezing. Turn it off. That's weird, that. Anyway, yeah, so, getting stuff on the fly, you can definitely do. It's not a problem to sort of record stuff. As and when. Please don't crash. What we got? I've turned the camera off, so hopefully that's remedied the situation with saying something. Does anyone want me to sort of content music video at some time? I mean, we can definitely help you out. Do you need a venue or anything then, Wib? Or are you looking for, what sort of help are you looking for?
Pension monument. Okay. Well, maybe we'll have a look at that.
Yeah, I mean, we can. That could be definitely something. I mean, doing stuff like this would definitely help. I think the camera's froze, but I think we're still on. I'm telling us that it's excellent connection. Not dropped here. This has just crashed a little bit. Oh dear. Muted your mic as well for some reason.
Is that? I didn't realise that's what you did. I thought you just pressed the light.
No. Right, we should be back. Cool. That should be us back, hopefully.
Just let us know through the chat, guys, to make sure you're catching us back. So yeah, what you're saying about Wib, this would be really useful for Wib to if he did want to do his
music video,
to write a shot list, maybe storyboard what the story is.
Yeah, like the overall, like what's he trying to do? Is it like some music videos are quite basic in that they're just showing someone like sort of walking around or moving around. Sometimes it's just shots of like places to the music, which makes it a little bit easier because you know what you want to get and you just cut them together in your editing program.
Right.
But yeah, so the only slight difference is with your shot list is it'll sort of be a bit more of a breakdown of like each scene with a reference to the script. Whereas your storyboard is like you're taking your script, you're trying to visualize how it's going to play out in like a sequence, in an order. Yeah, the camera's crashed, Charlotte, so that was the problem. So I'm not going to turn that back on because I think that's what's causing the issue. I'll have a go when Leon goes to the break. I'll have a go at like resetting it, but I have a feeling we have to reset the computer. But we'll try and sort that out. If not, I'm just going to swap the other screen. So we do have this camera here, so we'll probably swap back to that one. We'll do that after the break, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Champion. But yeah, so you know, there's the one sort of does lend itself to the other. Like a storyboard and a shot list aren't tremendously different, but your shot list isn't visual at all.
So I would imagine, from my perspective, you need to get your idea around what your story is, don't you? Really.
Your script. So your script is your first thing, and your script doesn't have to be in a traditional like horrible script format either. You can do it in a more basic way. I can't remember what it's called now, so I'm going to look it up. So there'll be guides online here, so you can get yourself in there.
But if you've got an idea for a story and you do your storyboard.
Oh yeah, you can do your storyboard first, and then that could inform, like you could flesh out a script from that.
Yeah. To then help you with your shot lists.
Yeah, definitely. But equally, you can still do a storyboard and a shot list for like something that doesn't have a script. So a full length documentary does have a script. If you're interviewing someone or something, it doesn't really have a script. Might have some questions.
Yeah.
And then you can come up with a shot list of why. Okay, when I edit this together, when they're talking about whatever it is I'm interviewing them about. I mean, we said firemen before. So when I'm interviewing them about fighting fires, like have the fire engine sort of driving past and little bits of footage that you would cut away to, so it's not just them looking straight at the camera.
So and these documents as well, the working documents, aren't there? So if you've got a panel or a scene on your storyboard, and you've gone to shoot it and it just doesn't quite work, you can then scribble on there and just change the order around of it. Definitely. Same with your script, your shot lists as well.
Yeah.
Scribble them out, and it's the working documents, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. And that, you know, if you've got other people working with you who are helping you like operate, I don't know, the camera, or you might have more than one camera, so you might have two people, you know, using different cameras. It'll be good for them to read a shot list because then they know what they have to do.
Yeah.
They know where they have to be. If it's your actors, you know where they have to go as well.
Yeah.
Like if you can show them a storyboard, okay, this is a shot we're getting. I need you to walk towards the camera. I need you to walk away from the camera. I need you to walk across this way. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Really useful to loop them into that.
Brilliant.
It's all planning for you basically. So whatever works best for you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to write a traditional, if you're doing like a story-driven bit, so you're creating a short film, you need a script really because whoever's in it's going to have to memorize lines and know what to say. If you're doing something a little bit more like Wave's music video, for example, you might not necessarily need a script, but you'd have a shot list and storyboards for sure because you'd need to know what shot you want to record and what order you want them to be in when you come to edit them.
And I imagine as well, if you've got a load of people there on site, it's a really good, well, like you say, to organise people. But if you've hired kit as well, you want to make sure that you're not running over on days with the kit that you've hired.
Yeah, or wasting the time with it. You know what I mean?
Time,
you don't want to get, say you've got a full day shoot, you don't want to get 6 hours in and have only got like 2 or 3 shots. You want to turn up on the day. I've got to get 20 shots. I'm starting with this one. Because I can.
So in filmmaking, it's an organisational tool, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, and it's all down to you and how you work best. You know what I mean? Like all the best filmmakers and all the best documentary makers. Documentary is a bit of a funny one because sometimes it's right place, right time. But all the best filmmakers, it's like meticulous with them. Like they spend hours and hours, but they work with other people as well. It's not just them. So like they have someone who all the people who operate the cameras, all the people who do the lighting. That sort of thing, but on a smaller scale for the independent stuff, you're going to get the most out of your time if you've planned it, basically.
Right, okay then, Hazen, brilliant. I've got one last question for you. Right, so we've got a little activity that we're going to do. and basically the activity is trying to tell the story very quickly of George and the Dragon. It's like a spin-off from our last session.
Yeah.
What tips? I'm going to do the storyboard. What tips can you give us for sketching out the storyboard today?
Okay. Try and do it so that you can look at your storyboard, or anyone could look at the storyboard and sort of understand.
So even if my drawings aren't very good,
yeah,
you put some description in there.
Yeah, a little bit of description. So like, you know, on scene 1, you might put establishing shot.
Yeah.
And then a little bit about what you're establishing. So, you know, it might be, I don't know, it might be when he's a kid.
Yeah.
And you follow him around. Lots of stories start when the hero's a kid and shows them like growing up, wherever they grow up, and why they are the way they are when they grow up as well.
Yeah.
You don't need to put all that in the storyboard, but you might put establishing shot, childhood of George Lionheart.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Home, whatever, and that, like a brief description of what each bit of the story is, but very brief.
What about creating drama? Is there any tips? Like just very quick tips? Any quick go-to ones? Nothing advanced, but something quite basic that could add a bit more interest than just me attempt from last week.
Well, I mean, it's tough because your shots will add the drama. So, like I say, having a flashback to the past, for example,
flashback, right?
That's what I was talking about there. So when he's a kid, obviously that's not. We're picking up the story, I assume, is when he goes and slays the dragon.
That's right, yeah.
So before you get into that, it might be good to have a bit of a flashback and a bit of character development,
right? In
terms of like you're building them up, so you're showing the audience who he is, you're getting them to identify with him, rather than like a lot of films fall down because they just try and get to the main story far too quickly.
Well, that's what I was going to talk to the guys about earlier, right? Because we watched this. I watched this film. What's it called? Metal.
Okay.
Basically about a guy who's losing his hearing.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that story behind him.
So you didn't care.
I didn't really have it.
You weren't bothered about it. No, that's how it works. Yeah. You need to identify with the character. Normally how you do that is like you get that glimpse into the early life or whatever's made them that way.
The sound of metal, that's what it's called.
Yeah. So the other thing you can do is you can do like, you know, films like Memento where you give the audience a question, and that you withhold some information from them,
right? And
you deliberately make it sort of like a mystery, but you keep them intrigued by, okay, well, what's he doing there? Like, so Pulp Fiction, for example.
Yeah.
One of the things that never gets explained is what's in the briefcase.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a MacGuffin, it's called, but like that's deliberately in there to get the audience to be like, well, hang on, what's in there?
Yeah.
And you can do that sort of thing as well.
Right.
But that's more like narrative. So you're more looking at narrative. So your storyboard has to reflect the narrative as well. So the narrative being the story.
Yeah.
What from start to finish, or you can, like I say, you can tell it in slightly the wrong order.
Yeah.
That gets really complicated to storyboard and shoot and edit.
Yeah.
But
we're just doing the storyboard here.
But that would be how you do it. So you might think, actually, this is a bit basic. Like I'm just sort of going from start to finish.
Yeah.
Why not add a flashback in?
Yeah.
Or jump forward to the future or whatever. Like you can play around with the timeline and stuff.
Brilliant. Right.
Yeah.
So we've got a description, flashbacks, and withheld information.
Yeah.
Or try to keep people in.
And you use the shots as well for meaning. So like, you know, if you want someone to look like they feel alone, you might have like an extreme wide shot of them walking down the street where they basically look the size of an ant, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or if you want them to feel really uncomfortable, you might have a really big close up on like the face as something's happening, and a visible look of discomfort.
Brilliant. That's great, mate. That's perfect. Thanks very much.
I'm gonna run away now.
Appreciate that. Okay, guys. So hopefully that was a bit more entertaining than me waffling on for 2 hours. Haytham has clearly got a lot more experience in this than I have, and it was really, really good for him to come and spend a bit of time with us this afternoon, just giving us a bit of insider info as to how and why we use storyboards and what the importance of shot lists are. I think I am a little bit more clued up now. So with just to recap, really, shot lists and storyboards are going to be really, really key if you're looking at doing a video, and we'll have some conversations a little bit later outside of this session as to how we can probably help you with that. All right. So Hatham give us some really cool tips there, and I'm going to quickly type them down because remember, guys, last session, this presentation was not this one because it was session 2, but the last session's presentation or slideshow was available before the links, and I'll do the same for this session today. So we need to for some tips that Hatham give us. Description was really done something here which I shouldn't have done. Let's have a look. Really not really that important to look at my hands. Let's have a look. Here we go. Scene 1. Sorry about that. Yeah. So Hatham mentioned having a description in your shot, not in your shot list. Sorry, in your storyboard, and have it so anybody can really understand it. So remember, when we're doing our storyboards, we have a window, and I'll quickly show you, do a quick sketch here, just to show you what I mean by a storyboard. For those who haven't been tuning in, you have a window or thumbnail, and this is where you put your image. Okay, so let's say we've got an image of an apple. Okay, that's where you put that, and then you have a description underneath. So Hatham is talking about putting as much information in there as possible so that people can pick this up, or yourself can pick this up, and it's clear. So if your pictures aren't very good, a bit like mine, then you would put there mid shot of apple, for example. So we're going to have a description in here, guys, as tip number 1. Make sure we've got description in there. That's what we're going to do for the activity after the break. But he also said maybe a suggestion of a flashback, and I think that'll be quite handy when we're looking at trying to portray the story of George v. the Dragon. So flashback, I'm going to put that in there, flashback. And then also he said withheld information to try and create intrigue info. A bit like he mentioned Pulp Fiction, where you didn't really know what was going on. You didn't really know what was in the suitcase, and you didn't really know at the end either, did you? There was just a glow in Pulp Fiction coming from the suitcase, but you never really saw what was in it. Okay, so these are the 3 kind of tips that we're going to try and incorporate into today's activity. Okay, so, and the activity being to create a storyboard to entertain. Remember last week, guys, the activity was to create a storyboard to inform. So I would expect, or I'm going to try my very best to try and entertain the audience in my storyboard, which I'm going to hand sketch today on here. Bear with me 1 minute. And we're going to try and create a storyboard to entertain people, the audience of children aged between 8 and 10. And I'd urge you to follow this activity. It doesn't need to be about George and the legend of George and the Dragon. You could do your own story, but please feed that back into us so we can have a look, and we'll try and get that out there for you guys as well, so you can all have a look at what everyone's working on. Okay, so that's what we're going to do after the break. I've found a really cool little video to show you guys before we have a little break, and then we'll have a little 5-10 minute break. Let's see if I can find that video for you. Here we go. Right, let's put this in YouTube. So this here, if I can find it, this was a really cool video by an animator and a musician, and he was just talking about storyboards from his perspective. Okay, so just bear with me. I'll try and get rid of this advert and just quickly watch this little video to describe or to see somebody else's perspective about about storyboarding and how he uses it. Just bear with me 1 minute. Excuse that there. Excuse that little lad there. I couldn't skip it. But here we go. Here's the storyboard video. So if you just go back a second there, guys, can you see the directional arrows to indicate the movement of the characters or objects within the shot? Then we have some information about the camera movement, and there's an arrow which is just going out of that scene there up to the sun, just to describe the movement of the camera. These are things that we might need to consider for our activity here. And then if you can see there, faint there, it says cross dissolve. That was like a transition between one scene to another. Okay. Alright guys, okay, so that was basically a little snapshot of a video on YouTube, which I'll put the link to on the slideshow that will be made available for you guys. And it was a really good overview on what we need to consider for our activity in the second half of the show. Okay. What I'm going to do is we're going to have a little break now for 10 minutes. Okay, so if you tune back in at 2:05, get yourself some pens, some paper, and maybe just have a little sketch and have a little go at doing your own storyboard alongside me, and I'll just be explaining my visual or my thought process when I'm sketching me visuals for the storyboard, which is going to be the storyboard of George and the dragon. Okay, so tune in at 2:05. Bring some paper, bring some pens, have a little sketch, and if you've got anything to show us or if you've got any suggestions, please put them in our comments. Okay. Again, please, if you could also be aware that there is an enrollment form and a survey to complete as well, and those links are on our YouTube page. Okay, so we're going to have a little break now for 10 minutes. Tune back in at 2:05, and we'll crack on with activity number 2. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you at 2:05. Okay, guys, welcome back. So, just a quick recap on our session so far. This is the second session of 5 sessions about storyboarding and the key elements to storyboarding. This session we had a little chat with Hatham, one of our tutors here at Media Savvy, and he was giving us some tips from his perspective, coming from more of a filmmaking media background, and he gave us some tips on what we need to consider when it comes to making our storyboards. He also talked to us about the difference between a storyboard and a shot list. And now we're going to try and look at the tips that Hatham's give us in order to create a storyboard about who is St. George. And this is a roll-on kind of activity that we weren't able to complete last session. And it's an activity that we're going to do for the next half of the session, where I'm gonna do a storyboard trying to communicate the story, the story of St. George and George and the Lionheart, and his battle with the dragon. Okay, so last session, if we quickly look, we try to communicate these facts here, and we communicated these facts to inform a storyboard for activity 1, which was so a quick look. Activity 1, to inform an audience. Who is St. George? This activity is now for this session is going to be to entertain the audience and explain to them the story of George and the Lionheart. Okay, so it's George and the Lionheart. George the Lionheart, guys, from my research anyway. And if you've got any more things, that please feel free to chuck them into our comments, and I'll try and incorporate that into the storyboard that I'm going to do today. But for my research, let me just bear with me 1 minute. My screen seems to have frozen here. Let's have a look. That's it. Yeah. So George and the Dragon. The story of George and the Dragon was about a town, wasn't it? It was about a town that was getting terrorized by a dragon. The dragon, the village people of the town were that terrorized. They kept on trying to give the dragon offerings to try and calm the dragon down. That didn't happen, and the king of the town decided to give his only daughter, the princess, to the dragon to try and stop the dragon from causing havoc in the town. George the Lionheart then went to rescue the princess and defeated the dragon and saved the village. So that's basically the story. Now, Hatham's tips from the first half of the session was when we create our storyboard. One of his main tips was to make sure we have a description in our storyboard. Okay, so that's one thing I'm going to really be going to make sure I'm going to include into that. Okay, he also suggested one way to add a bit more drama to our story is to possibly look at having a flashback, and he mentioned something really important here, which we'll probably do in a little bit further detail in a future session. That was to develop the character further. A flashback might be used to give a background to the character. Okay, so I'm going to put background there to George, and this is going to be used to try and get the audience to buy into that character. Now, if you remember, in the first half of the session, I talked about watching a film earlier this week, and I really couldn't get away with some elements to the story. The storyline was great in terms of what they were doing, but I really couldn't get away with. I don't think I bought into the character, and that might have been for a number of different reasons. But one of the reasons could be that I didn't really know much about the character, and I didn't feel as I had that connection. So we really need to try and create a connection to George, so we can maybe see about trying to do that by having a flashback within the storyboard. Okay, and the last thing Haytham mentioned in terms of creating a little bit more interest, a bit more drama into our storyboard, was to think about having something that you hint to the audience, but you keep it back. So one of his examples was Pulp Fiction. We had a suitcase, didn't we? In Pulp Fiction, we had a suitcase, but you didn't know what was in that suitcase. It was a every time you saw the suitcase, you just saw a glow coming from the suitcase, didn't you? So withheld information is probably a nice little suggestion, a nice little tip that Haytham gave us that we could probably try and incorporate into our story about George and the Dragon. So there's a town terrorized by a dragon. There's a princess offered to the dragon, and we've got Richard the Lionheart, or George the Lionheart, as I keep on referring to him as, who rescued the princess. Okay, now let's have a think about the first scene then, shall we? So this is the information that we need to think about incorporating, and let's have our first scene here. And I'm going to do a little quick sketch, a little box. Okay, this is going to be my first scene, so I'll just put a 1 there. And I'm going to think about, I want to dive straight into the action, right? I'm not sure why I want to do this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have George maybe face to face with the dragon. Okay, so what I might do, and my drawing isn't the best, but I might do it from the point of view of George looking at this dragon. Okay, and my drawing's going to be really terrible here, but I'm going to big mouth of the dragon there, big eyes of the dragon, maybe its tail in the background, face to face with the dragon, maybe some smoke coming from its mouth. And I'm not really happy now that I've sketched that. I'm not really happy with that. I don't think there isn't enough drama in there. Where's the drama? Okay, we want a bit more drama in that, because what I want to do from this scene is I want to create an intensity. Okay, so I'm going to put drama there, and it's not there, so I'll get rid of that, and we're going to go again. And this is the whole point of storyboarding and drawing thumbnails, is it doesn't need to be perfect, and that's why I thought it was important to show you guys me sketching, because my sketches aren't perfect by any stretch. What I might have is black screen first, okay, and a bit of description underneath there where you could just hear fire, a raging fire, and people screaming. So audio here. Remember, description is key here. This is what we need to put in here, and what I'll put is black screen. I'm making this up as I go along, guys. I haven't got a clue what the story is going to end up look like, but let's just see how we go. Okay, then what I want to do is I'm thinking that maybe for the drama, to add a bit of drama, we can be looking through the eyes of George. Okay, so maybe, again, this drawing's not very good because we're not going to see through the eye. We're not going to see his eyes, are we? But we're going to see the scene. So let's go down here, scrap that out, Go again. And we're going to have a picture of the scene. I'm going to hold this idea of the dragon for a minute. I'm going to have a look at, I think what I've got going on in my head is seeing the village on fire. Okay, and these are all the different houses burning. Okay, you can't see the dragon at this point, but you can. So we've gone from a black screen, we're going to see fire. We've got black screen, sorry, we're going to hear all the people shouting and crying and screaming. You're going to have this night scene, so night, maybe rain as well, and thunder to add a bit more, add this drama. Rain, thunder, fire, no dragon, and I'm going to say POV, point of view of George. Okay, and I'm going to have in here I'm going to put POV again. I'm going to put screen or shot blinking effect. So what I want really to get across is this idea that we're maybe on a hill, we're looking down into the town, we see all these trees here, we see all these little houses all on fire, and we're seeing it from George's perspective, okay? And maybe we're hearing all that noise, we're hearing all that commotion. We can probably, another audio cue which might be good, and you can see how rough this is, can't you? I mean, to be fair, if it wasn't for my handwriting, which is it's probably only marginally better than my sketches, you wouldn't really, you can't understand, you can't see what's happening here. But I'm starting to visualize, and I think this is the whole point. This is the first sketch of a storyboard. If you remember back to a previous video that we watched on YouTube, we saw an animator roughly putting out these sketches. We'll use these thumbnails then to make them a little bit neater, tidy them up. But these sketches are just to try and build that story at the minute, okay? So the audio is maybe heavy breathing. Heavy. So this is 2. So we didn't use that one. We were going to look at the dragon, but I thought that was a little bit too much. So we've gone from a black screen, okay? We're going to hear in a raging fire, there's people screaming. Then you cut to this scene where you see it's like a blinking effect. So it's like George's eyes looking down. And I'll put this down here, looking down from hill on to the town on fire. Okay, so talking about building a story here, if you didn't know what this story was about, and to be fair, if you could go and look at lots of different films and they might have a similar starting point, all we know is that there's a lot going on in this scene. There's chaos here. There's definitely a town on fire, and you have you're the point of view of this character. Okay, you don't know who this character is, but you know there's a character there looking down at this town. What we could do now to look at what Haytham was saying here. He was talking about flashbacks, wasn't he? So let's try and incorporate a flashback into this story, okay? So we've got a town on fire. We've got a character looking at this town on fire. I'll lump that in with that. It is very, very messy, but it's not that this whole process isn't about having neat drawings. It's about me sketching an idea from my mind onto paper. From here, we'll then make it look prettier and give it some more changes and edits later. Okay, so we've got a person on a hill looking down into a town that is on fire. You're looking at this town from the perspective of the person. Okay, you don't know who that person is, so I'm going to try and use this flashback now to give you a bit of context as to who this person is. So we're going to say flashback. And what we could do, flashback on blink. So right now, as his eyes are looking at this scene, or her eyes are looking at this scene, closing, going black, opening again, it might flash back on the blink to a different time, and that different time is going to help us build the character to who this character is looking at the scene, and that could be it could be when the character was younger. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's think of a story from when the character was younger. Maybe a flashback, or when the character was younger. What I'm trying to think now, what is the purpose of, we know the purpose of this is to try and build a connection with the character, but we don't want this character just thinking about any old thing, because bear in mind, this character looking at the scene is going to be very emotionally challenged by what he or she is seeing. So maybe the flashback is going to bring about an emotion from a previous time, maybe another time when that character was scared, perhaps. So let's think about I'm just making the story up as I go along. Let's say there's a scene here where we've got a bed. Okay, probably not a bed. I'm just going to sketch this out, but probably I don't think it would be like this, but it'll be maybe the character in bed. Okay, or the point of view, POV, character, waking up in bed, hearing, crying, and then we'll have smoke as well there, right? Okay, so we've got this room and the character as a younger character waking up in a room. Let's just try and give it a bit more context. There might be a window there or something. You could see some smoke in the background, whatever. Maybe it's a stone building because we're trying to set the scene or the time. And there's describe the scene a bit more. Remember, Haytham mentioned describing the scene. Young George waking up, walking up, by crying and fire. So this is from these three scenes here. We're trying to communicate to our audience we're trying to communicate to the audience the story of George and the Dragon, remember. Okay, so we've got the first scene here. You don't see anything, you just hear I'm going back to this, and this is why this is so important that you don't need to be scared about editing as you're going. I put black screen there. I don't want a black screen. I want it kind of if you close your eyes, you've got like a red tint, haven't you? Red, dark red, red, and I'm gonna put eye closed, red, dark red, eyes closed effect. This is just for my screen, so you don't see anything apart from that. We jump to this scene where the eyes are open, eyes closed, eyes open. This is going to be, I'm going to put another scene in here. I'm going to move this scene. I'm going to use a different pen because it's getting a bit chaotic now. Over here, that's scene 3. This is going to, no, that's scene 2. This is going to be scene 3. And I'm going to have eyes closed. So I guess what I'm building up here is, I've gone straight into the action like I've explained. I'm just going to move this over for a minute. And I guess what I'm building up is every time this character opens and closes his eyes, you're getting a flashback of this person. Okay, so we've learned that from here. We've got this town that's being terrorized. The character is looking at it. We're looking at. Just bear with me 1 minute, guys. We've got a bit of noise going on in the background there. 2 minutes. We have, I've got a laptop getting set up in the background, and Cortana's talking to me. So we've got this scene building up now, and I didn't have a clue on how I was going to communicate this story until I've just started going through the process myself. So that's the whole point of this storyboard process, right? So every time that this character is closing his eyes or her eyes and opening their eyes, you're looking at what's happening in real time, and then you're getting a flashback. And the first flashback that we've had is this character waking up, being woken up by crying and fire. So what the character is seeing in scene 2 from this scene is making them think about this time. Okay, now what do we know about George and the dragon? We know George was a brave warrior, a brave soldier. So we're going to try and get the audience to buy into that. Okay, so at the minute we've got this link, fire and crying and things not nice scenes here, and we've got somebody waking up in a bed. Okay. What I might do, just to put a little twist on it, I'm going to have George as a female. Okay, so we've got a female. You see a female in this bed here, maybe long hair, I guess. Just from this little sketch, being woken up. Okay, and maybe a silhouette as well of something that you flying in the sky. Okay, we know the story. I'm going to put a little note here for different color pen, and as you can see, my technique to point out certain things to my drawings, different color pen, and it might be a silhouette. Don't even know how to spell silhouette, so let's have a quick Google. I love Google or any search engine where spelling isn't the best. silhouette of dragon, or not really a dragon. Yeah, just say silhouette of the dragon for now. That'll be fine. Okay. Then we're going to cut back to scene 4. Okay, we're going to have a blink. Eyes close. Cut to current day. And then C4, what I might do is have the scene. So this here, guys, remember from last session, this was called the establishing shot, wasn't it? So I'm going to whack that in there. I'm going to have some audio. I'm going to have rustling, bushes. So here I'm going to have bushes here. Okay, rustling of bushes, and I'm going to have and movement. And I'm going to still have these houses, maybe a bit more closer up, these houses. On fire again. Okay. We're going to go to scene. This is not really, yeah, we're going to go to the scene 5 where it's a flashback again. So really what we are doing here, we've got 2 stories side by side, but hopefully, I'm not sure if this is a technical way, this is the way I'm working with me story, is that we're going to understand more about this character who was looking at the burning town. We're going to understand more every time we go back in time to this flashback. So the character's woken up from this story, and let's say smoke starts filling the room a bit more. So this one's point of view, and this one this scene here was going to be the point of view. Current, I'm going to put a note up here. Current day, point of view, and then I'm going to say flashback, first person, no, third person, isn't it? So a quick Google, third, I think I'm right in saying third person, yeah, third person. So what this means is it's somebody, the character we're going to see the character. We're not going to be. So the current day, which is what we see here, is we're seeing it from the character's eyes. Third person, we're seeing it as the audience looking at the character. Okay. Let me just have a quick look at our screen. Right, my straight that video from the corner. Right, I'm just reading your message there, Wib. Have a good day, man, and we'll see you soon, Wib. That's just for Wib. Yeah, leave a little bit earlier. How are you guys getting on anyway? Are you doing this alongside me? Have you got any thoughts on what I can include into my storyboard? Please, please put some comments in our comments bar there, and I'll see if I can read them as I'm sketching, and I'll try and put them in. But I'm making this up as I go along, and just hopefully turn this story of George and the Dragon into something a little bit more dramatic. Okay, so we've got a person looking at this scene. There's lots of chaos going on. They blink, and then it cuts to an earlier point in time where there is also a fire happening. Okay, from there it cuts back to the scene where there's a chaotic town on fire, and then you hear rustling in the bushes, and it looks as though that character's getting closer to the action. And then it goes back to the flashback. Okay, and I'll put blink in there. And then I want to try and describe this story a little bit better. What is going on in this story? So that character has woken up in a similar situation, and I'm going to have a door here. I'm going to have this little girl here. She's going to have a little teddy or something, holding a little teddy, and maybe a little blanket in her hand. There's a door to our bedroom, I guess. I'm just trying to draw this door. It's like a big stone building that the door's in, and this is a big door to our room, but there's smoke coming through the bottom of the door. I'll put some audio in there. Fire, crackling, getting closer, and a roar. Okay, and then let's see what I'll do in this room here. I'll put a big rug on the floor, something like that, and then I'll just put that rug on the floor there, maybe the tip of the bed. Okay, just so we know we're still in that bedroom, and maybe a little picture on the wall or something like that, I don't know. So we've got to cut back to a flashback. That little character's got up out of bed with all that commotion. There's smoke coming from the bottom of the bed. And I'm going to put little like little girl, alarmed, can't spell, scared, listening to roar on other side of the door. So remember what Haytham mentioned to us before. He says try and be as descriptive as possible. That's what I've tried to do. I've kind of hung on to the idea and tried to use the idea of flashback to build this character of this little girl who's going to turn into a brave girl, and who's going to turn into, let's say, Georgina the Lionheart is my take on the story. Okay. I might do another scene here to try and speed this scene up a little bit, put this story up a little bit, which is still part of that story. The door, a bit more detail, smoke still, door handle, and the little girl trying to really poor drawn. Little girl trying to open the door. Or So she's scared, but she's still trying to open the door to get out or to find out what's going on. Okay, so that's kind of, and then I'm going to put a big roar. And then maybe go to another scene where the girl gets really scared this time with the big roar. She jumps. She's really scared now. She jumps in the air, and she runs. To window. Okay, what I'm trying to do now is try and get across this idea of what's happening in this scene. Okay, I'm going to do one final scene for this little flashback story, and I'm going to have the girl run to the window. And I didn't put what this is, so I put bedroom here. And I'm gonna remember she had a little teddy in scene 5. She's holding the teddy. Bit more information in there. Teddy runs to the bedroom window and throws the teddy out. Okay, then we're gonna have another blink. Okay, I'm just gonna write blink in here. I'm not gonna write it in there because it's a bit of a waste of paper. So I'm gonna say blink to current day. I'm gonna put scene 4, breathing heavily. And this is scene 9 now. Okay. So a quick recap. We've got a load of commotion, a big noise going on here. It's scene 1, okay, but we can't see anything. It's as though somebody's eyes are closed, okay, but you can hear fire, you can hear roaring, you can hear people screaming. You go to 2, scene 2, where the eyes open and you see this town on fire. Your eyes close again and blink to a previous time where you see a little girl in a room and similar kind of noises are happening in that scene. From that scene, we then see a little bit more of that story developing, and where we go on here with that. So from that scene, we are a little bit, it blinks again, back to current time, and then you closer to the action, closer to that burning town. From there, we move from that burning town from the point of view of the viewer, which seems to be at this point in time a little girl, but maybe well, we don't know yet, but we just see a little girl, and we see her at a door where there's smoke and a roar behind her bedroom door. She tries to open the door, but she's scared because there's a big roar. The girl jumps and runs to the window. She chucks her little teddy out of the window to try and save the teddy. So that's the first display of bravery, I guess. Remember, George or Georgina is this this character is going to be called. One of the character traits or qualities of George the Lionheart is that character is brave. So this, although the character in this story that I'm creating here is scared, she is also brave because she's trying to save her teddy there. She's chucked it out the window and she's thinking about how to get out of this situation. Now we're blinking back to current day again. I'm going to put breathing heavily. And I'm going to have a house here on fire. Big house there, or barn or something like that. Okay, and I'm going to have an arrow. POV, point of view, character running behind. I'm going to put barn. I'm going to have more smoke and bushes here. Behind barn. Raw. Getting louder. Audio. Now remember what I was saying before, guys. This here, if you just look at it with fresh eyes, if anybody tuning into this session now with not knowing without knowing the context, it just looks like a load of scribbles. But I can assure you, and I would really urge you to maybe use this story or maybe use your own story, but try and just have half an hour going through a storyboard process. It really helps you as an individual, or me going through this process, really helps develop that story. Because when I first started this, I didn't have any idea whatsoever what this story was going to look like. I knew I was going to try and tell the story, or tell my story of George, or Georgina as I've adapted it, Georgina and the lion, the Lionheart, or Georgina and the dragon. I wanted to try and tell that story, but I'll give it my own little twist, and I didn't know what that was until I started building it up. And this just shows you how really important and how actually effective this storyboard process is. As you can see, my sketches are absolutely really, really rough, and really it doesn't really matter at this point, because what I can then do is then move this on to make it a little bit better once that story is complete and I'm happy with the story, so you can see that process there. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of more scenes. We're getting quite close to our finishing time, and I want to talk to you about a few other things, but I'm getting into this now, so I'm going to do a couple of more scenes to try and move the story on a little bit. If you've got any comments to put in, guys, please put them in. If you've got anything that you'd like me to include in this story just before we wrap up today, let us know and I'll try and include it. I'm going to do scene 10 now. Open another box here. So we've got this character running now. You can hear heavy breathing. You can hear the roar getting louder. And now we're starting to create that link between this flashback and this character. We've got fire, which is a connection. We've got chaos happening. We've got fire. We've got smoke. We have a roar. This kind of familiar roar. Okay, so let's try and make right. What I want to try and do is I want to try and tell the story a little bit better about, or build the audience buy-in to the to this character a little bit better. The young girl, that is. Okay. Now in this scene here, scene 8, I had the girl throwing the teddy out the window. I'm gonna what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep that, but I'm not going to have it at scene 8. I'm going to take that out, not have it at scene 10. I'm going to put a scene before that. So in scene 7, we've got this girl. She's alerted and alarmed by a really, aggressive roar beyond the bedroom door. She's been woken up. She's scared. She's terrified. She's gone to the door to have a quick listen. She can hear awful noises on the other side, and she's scared. She's tried the door. She can't. She can't get out because she thinks there's something behind there that she doesn't want to interact with, and she runs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a scene in here, and I'm going to make it a little bit more obvious. That's why I've got a couple of different coloured pens in here, and I'm going to put this as 8. And I'm going to put the girl trying to get out the window. Okay, she's got one leg out and one leg in, and she's holding on to there because she's terrified. She's got hair there. She's just about to jump out the window there, and then she looks back. Change my pen. And put a quick note in there. Looking back. She sees Teddy. And then I'll just have the door. Just a little bit of the door. Stone, remember, to try and keep that continuity, and the teddy on the floor. So in a panic, she's ran and she's left the teddy at the floor. She's trying to get out of that situation, get out of the room, climb out the window because there's something beyond the door, but she's left the teddy. Okay, I'm going to put audio, raw, getting louder, and I'm going to put these here, say door rattling. So now the situation is the door's getting even more tense. She's trying to get away from the situation, and the situation's intensifying. And as you can see here, we put a mid shot here to increase the drama. This should be really to remember from scene 7, there's a massive roar, isn't there? Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll crop this right down to extreme close-up. Okay, and these arrows are indicating that the camera zooms into the character's face, right? They're going to have massive eyes, mouth open. Okay, so fast forward to scene 8 after that. So she's terrified, she's ran. Let's have a look. I think I might get something. I'll keep that for a minute. I'm going to get rid of these. That extreme close up, mid shot to extreme close up. And as you can see, guys, again, I haven't got a clue how this story is going to develop. I couldn't tell you what the next scene is, but I'm in it now. I'm getting really involved because I'm just doing these.
Just do something quickly. Don't mind me.
I'm just building this story up as I go along. So I've got rid of my extreme close up there. I'm putting an extreme close up into scene 6. But I'm keeping that scene 7 where the girl's running to the window. And then from 7 we've got scene 8 where the girl is at the window just about to climb out, and then we've got more of an establishing shot here. So as Haytham mentioned when we had our chat, it's just doing a bit of magic to the camera because we'll probably cut off a lot of these sketches. But from our chat, he gave us 3 main tips to how to make a good storyboard. We've got description, and we've got a load of description down here, and we'll probably need to add more, but we've got a good base. He talked about flashback. There's one technique to kind of make that connection to the character. Then that's what we've kind of built our story on up until scene 9, and then we've got withholding information. I'm not too sure whether I've managed to do that.
I'm just going to move this round.
Oh,
we're doing a full 360 here.
Here we go, guys.
Lift your arms underneath your arms. Yeah, there you go.
Being our cameraman here today.
Everyone get the tripod there. Hold that for a second. I'm going to knock your notebook on the floor. Maybe get a better view from this side.
What we'll do, guys, the quality of the camera isn't the best, so what I'll do is I'll take some snapshots of these pictures and I'll put them onto the slideshow, and we'll make that available for you to download and have a quick look. All right, but I mean, there's nothing. They're not pretty, but it's really just to get across the idea. Cheers, Haven. That's great, mate. Get across the idea of this story. The withheld information was one of the other tips that Haytham mentioned, and maybe using that. And he referenced Pulp Fiction, where there's a suitcase at the beginning of the film, I believe, and you wasn't sure what was in that suitcase. That suitcase, the suitcase crops up in the film, but you still don't know, and even at the end, you don't know what's in that suitcase. Withheld information is a technique used to create intrigue, and I think we've got it here. I mean, it's not a suitcase, but I think the whole story is a bit of a suitcase, isn't it, really? We don't know what's going on. We don't know what the connection is between this little girl and the person looking at the scene. The only connection we have at the minute, and that I've created just on the fly, is that there's between the scene with the little girl and the scene where it's a point of view of from somebody's point of view, is that there's fire and there's chaos. That's the only connection that we've got at the minute. This story can then progress. I could go on forever for a good couple hours of this story and get it, move it along a bit more. But and there's lots more ideas that are coming to my mind now. But I assure you, this is just something that's off the fly, and I would really urge you to go through this process just for an experiment, because I think that will get your creative juices flowing when it comes to figuring out what a storyboard is. Because to be fair, I use storyboards in my design process quite a lot, but for actually putting images, moving images into some kind of context like this, this is probably one of the first times I've done that, and it's been really, really useful. As you can see from what you're seeing at the minute, very, very rough sketches, and you will not be able to see really what I've done unless you've followed it along and you've heard the narrative behind it. But I'll take some close-up pictures and put them on if you're interested in that. Put them into our little presentation. The last scene that I'm going to put in here really, because I've inserted a scene into here. The thing that we do know, remember this story is about communicating the story of George and the Dragon. And I've renamed the story Georgina and the Dragon, okay? Just to give it a little twist, because there's lots of stories out there about George and the Dragon when I've done some research, and I just thought I'd make mine a little bit different. Okay, so we've inserted a scene, a new scene from after 7 to this girl looking back and seeing a teddy on the floor. So obviously, to try and fit in with the story of this character being brave, which Georgina is, she doesn't just dive out the window when she's scared and she's under pressure. She runs back for a teddy. Okay, so I'm gonna have a quickly, and as you can see, again, me drawing. I mean, I don't even know what I drew there. Me drawing isn't the best, but she's running. She picks her teddy up. Okay, that's 8. This will be 9. And then we'll move on to 10, 8, 9, and that'll be 10. And I'll make that a little bit more obvious there. And again, description is really important. This is one of the things that Haytham mentioned. Description. Make sure you put some description in there, especially when your pictures are as the drawings are as loose as mine. Little girl, RL Leon, runs back for teddy before running back to window, and then chucks the teddy out the window to save the teddy from the roaring or the monster beyond that door, and then she dives out herself, and that's where we're at with this story so far. Okay, so take a deep breath. Okay, this has been a really, really useful session today. I was quite reluctant to sketch live in front of you, because as you can see, my drawings aren't the best, but it's not about the drawings, guys. And as you've seen, for those of you who've been with us from the taster session a couple of weeks ago, even in industry, people who work in industry work very quickly and very rapidly to build up that story in their head, change things around, change scenes around, and things like that. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the session. And I think it's really good to have a little recap on what we've done, because it's been a bit of a interactive session today, and there's a lot that's happened. So let's have a look then. Let's go back a little bit. I'm going to change my screen now. Quick, go back here. So we've looked at what happened last week. Again, guys, send in your work. Always interact with us if you can on our comments page. We'll try our best to incorporate any suggestions, especially if we're working live, like we have been today, sketching and things like that. If you've got some ideas that you think might be cool to insert in our story, or anything like that, just please give us some suggestions. I did ask at the beginning, guys, has anyone got any favourite films or any favourite shots from any favourite films? Please give us some feedback if you give us some of your favourite films and some of your favourite shots or scenes in a film. Have a think about that for next week. And then maybe we're going to have a look on and share that, and have a look at some of those scenes on YouTube or Google Images. We've really we've really got our teeth stuck into storyboarding today. We've really got into the nitty gritty of it. The last couple of sessions, we've looked at the different tools and techniques we can use. We've looked at different types of shots to create drama. We've looked at the importance of tailoring our story to our audience, and we've also talked about different tools and techniques we can use to create storyboards. And we've used a really cool and helpful set of tools online, and one of them was Storyboard That, and that helped us build our storyboard with preloaded images that we just dragged and dropped into these spaces here. Okay, I wanted to move away from that today, and I wanted to get stuck into storyboarding based on some kind of suggestions from somebody who uses storyboards as a job, and that's Haytham. He does that quite often when he's developing his media and his films when he's done that in the past. So we've looked at going back to the drawing board and actually sketching these storyboards out based on the story of Georgina and the Dragon. Is that the story that I've kind of put a little twist on? And it really does help, guys. I got lost there for like 45 minutes trying to come up with this cool little story. I don't know whether it is cool or not, but I got totally sucked into it. And what it is, I guess from my point of view, when you do go through this process, it's about getting those images that are in your head onto a piece of paper and then going, actually, no, it'd be better if it was like this. Oh, let's scrap that and let's put this in there. And you totally start buying into the story yourself. And I found from these two, if I go back to the sketches, if I can, quickly. Where are we now? Here we go. From these sketches, you really start building up your own story, okay? And then you start thinking about, right, well, I want this to be a tense shot here, so what shall I do? Oh, we'll have an extreme close up there, and we'll have an establishing shot here, and actually that doesn't work here, so we're going to put another scene in. And you start just building up this picture, and nobody else really needs to see that, really. I mean, I can't even work out what the drawings are, but with the description that Haytham gave us as a tip for creating a decent storyboard, kind of have an idea of where you're going with that story. And that story did not exist until the second half of this session, and I just made it up there. So I guess the next two things I would be looking at doing to complete this phase of storyboarding would be to finish the story and get to a point where we've got a bit more of a link. You drop another couple of little hints as to the link between the character in the current day and the character in the flashback, and get it to a point where maybe we leave the audience on a cliffhanger. Does the character save the day? What happens? Does the character need to save the village, or does the character save something from the village, or whatever? You could just build that story whichever way you want. So I guess the point to take away is the story needs to come to some kind of conclusion, and then from there, the next phase, I guess, would be to then maybe tidy up these drawings, put a bit more information in there, put them in an order, as you've seen there. I've done a scene here, scene 1, and I thought, right, the first scene I would want to see was like the mouth of the dragon, and I want to from the point of view of the character. And I thought, well, then I just decided I went a different route, so I scrapped that and I put a scene 1 there. and then I'll come up with scene 2, and I don't like that. I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to do another different look on a take on that scene. So the next phase from all of this would be to omit the bits that I didn't want, put them into another order that I'm happy with, and maybe make the drawings a little bit neater, so then I could then pass that on to, or share this story with the team that I'll be working with, if this was going to get developed into some form of filmed media or an animation or something like that. So that's storyboarding as a live session there. So that's what we've done, and that's what I've done. I really would like to see some of your work if you've done it as well. What else have we done today? So we had a little look at a video that was quite good, and it was looking at storyboarding from an animator's point of view, which was quite handy. We had the chat with Haytham, which we used some of the tips that Haytham gave us in his discussion with us on how to create drama in that scene. And if you go back to our last session, the outcome of our last session, which was this quite sedate, not that one, quite sedate scene. The whole purpose of this storyboard was completely different to the purpose of this storyboard that we've done today. But the purpose of the last session storyboard was to inform people about who George the Lionheart was, or Georgina the Lionheart. This story was to entertain. So if you look at the difference, and I know these are just sketches, but if you look at the difference here, we've got a lot more excitement going on. We've got different camera shots. We've got extreme close-ups. We've got sound. We've got fire. We've got all these elements here that would create that, or hopefully create that excitement and that drama, and that's what the aim of the game was in this session today. We looked at shot lists and storyboards, and from here we would then take our shot list and we start to build that visual now of the story, and we can then draw shot lists from there. Now, a storyboard isn't a shot list, which I learned earlier today. A shot list is a list of all the shots that you would need in that scene. So in scene 1, not in scene 1 because there's not much there, but scene 2, there might be several different shots in that scene that you would take from scene 2. So this is just really a quick overview on where the story is at that point in time. So that's what we've done today. We've done the activity, as you can see. And one last thing I would like to show you guys before we finish today is what we can do for further learning. Now, so I think we're at a point now where we've learned quite a few techniques, okay, on telling a story. And last session, I pointed you in the direction of a really good resource called what was it called again? Called FutureLearn. And I'll quickly click on there for a minute. I'll show you something. This is a free resource. You can sign up to this resource and you can search for loads and loads of different courses from many different subjects. And I found this one last week, which was story writing fiction. Okay, so it's getting started with writing and focusing on central skills of creating characters with this course. And you can join this course and it's for free. So what I'd like to do, I would like to urge you to have a look, not necessarily at this course, but if you're looking for anything, any new courses, or you're looking at getting involved in something, or if you've got an interest that you would like to learn more about, have a look on FutureLearn, because they're a really good resource there. And if we have a quick look at all the subjects, look, we've got subjects from business management to creative arts, media, history, If we click on nature and the environment, for example, these are all the courses that are running at the minute under that category. So we've got new energy technologies, fashion values and nature. We've got responsible marketing and fundamentals of corporate social responsibility. You know, there's lots, and all these are free. Okay, so that's what I pointed you in the direction of last week, is further learning. This week I found another 2 cool resources, and one of them is a creative resource called Artsy. And if I can just click on it and take you to the website for a minute. Excuse me, I've been talking for too long, my throat's drying up. We've got this website here, and I've only been on it for a few minutes, so I haven't managed to explore it properly, but there are lots of resources on here, and lots of courses, I believe. If we go to the home page, let's have a look at street art. That's something I'm really interested in. So there's lots of information here about different creative different creative resources, I guess, different creative artists, and let's have a look. Visuals, what else is there here? I did find some courses that these guys have, free courses as well, but the link is probably not. Let's type in Artsy courses just for 2 minutes, because I did find some courses on here that you might be interested in, and these are free courses as well. Oh, here we go. I'll update this link. Okay, it's 10 free online courses. That's the wrong link there that I've put into my oh, there's something there. There we are. So I'll update the link in my presentation there, but we've got some more online free courses that you can have a look at here, and we've got loads of different things here: psychology of art and creativity, creative problem solving, explore and play, the importance of play in everyday life. There's some really cool little 2 to 4 hour courses here: creative thinking techniques and tools for success. And if you just click on there, it'll give you a bit more information and take you to that source where the course is, and that'll be these are free as well. One last thing I would like to point you to in terms of further learning is just going to create a link to make that easier for me to show you guys. Some free courses that are put on by Reed. Okay, Reed is the job website where you can search for jobs, for those of you who don't know. But there's lots of online courses and resources here for you if you're looking to improve your employability skills. Okay, so we've got job interview masterclasses. There's a free webinar there. Reboot your CV skills. There's some free information resource there. That's nearly an hour's worth of online learning there. Okay, and lots of other things. So there's 2 little areas that you can explore if you're interested over the next week. Let us know what you think about those recommendations. If you've come across anything else, anything different, please let us know and share your knowledge. One last thing before we go, I would really urge you to have a look at our forms. Okay, I urge you to fill them in. We were only able to put these courses on because they're funded, and this course in particular is funded by the National Lottery. Okay, so if you fill in our enrollment form, it literally would take no more than a couple of minutes, and you just put the course title that you can get from YouTube, the year that the course was, the tutor, which would be me, Leon, start date, and just indicate how you feel that this course, if at all, has affected your understanding, or this session has affected your understanding. Now, the aim of me teaching you guys is to improve your understanding. So I do hope that has happened, but if it hasn't, that doesn't matter at all. But we would still urge you to fill this in, because we can only get funding for when we get people to enroll on our courses. And one other key thing is, the last thing I want to show you guys today is our feedback. If we've got anything positive or negative to tell us about our sessions today, any constructive feedback or anything like that would be greatly received, because we can only improve if we've given some feedback. Okay, so please fill this in if you've got a few minutes. Literally, well, not even a few minutes. I've done this before and it took about 40 seconds to complete. As you can see, there's just little ticky boxes here, and you can put some information in, extra information in if you have some there. So please enroll on our course. The link can be found on our YouTube page. Complete survey about how you felt today's session went, and please send us some of your work in so we can have a look at it next week. Next week we're going to delve further into storyboarding and look at some more advanced techniques on how to create drama, and using things like cliffhangers and things like that to try and just putting a note here, hangers, to try and improve that drama and that sense of that sense of connection between the scene and the audience. Okay, so that's about it for today's session. We've run over a little bit because I got myself a bit carried away with storyboarding, but I've really enjoyed that. And if you're stuck for something to do this week, have a go, because and just, you could use any story. You don't need to use my story, or it's not my story, it's the story that we use today. If you're struggling for an idea for a story, I would just use that and just give it your own twist. Or if you've got your own story, do that. Have a play around, guys, because I found it really, really fun. All right, so it's bank holiday weekend. Sun's out now, so hopefully it'll remain like that for the weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your bank holiday weekend. Stay safe. Okay, look after each other, and be happy. I'll speak to you and see you next week. Okay, guys, thanks very much for tuning in.